The forbidden wisdom of the crucifixion at Golgotha, the amplification of power. In our last encounter, the seed was saved from Sodom, ascended through the Jordan River, the spinal cord, and received the anointing that transformed Jesus into Jesus, the Christ, the anointed oil. The baptism is complete. But now we arrive at the most feared and, paradoxically, the most glorious scene in the Bible, the crucifixion. Today, I will reveal that the cross and the structure of wood are a precise description of my nervous system at the base of the head. You will discover the location of the true Golgotha, the place of the skull, what the cross of amplification formed within you is, and why the crucifixion is not death, but rather the amplification of power by a thousandfold that leads to illumination and the resurrection. The journey of redemption for the inner Christ cannot be completed in Jerusalem, the brain, but at its highest boundary. The site of the crucifixion is Golgotha, which, in Aramaic, means place of the skull. Physiologically, this is my cranium, more specifically, the region of the bulb and the medulla oblongata just beneath the main brain mass at the base of the head. It is here that the Christ oil, the anointed seed, arrives after its long ascent through the Jordan River. This point is the gateway between the body and the brain, where the fluid and energy prepare for the great transmutation. In the biblical story, the centurion soldier pierces the side of the Christ with his spear, causing blood and water to flow out. The centurion represents the centripetal force of the body, the force of gravity and attraction. When this force acts, the fluid is released to irrigate and purify the brain. I declare that the cross is not an instrument of torture, but a device of power built into your own anatomy. At the base of my skull, at Golgotha, the nerve pathways cross in multiple directions. This crossing naturally forms two crosses essential for the awakening. The cross of St. George, the axis of power. This is the simple cross, the vertical and horizontal plus shape. The vertical arm is the spinal cord itself ascending. The horizontal arm is formed by the decussation, the crossing of the motor nerves that connect the right side of the brain to the left side of the body, and vice versa. This cross of St. George is the axis of life, where the spirit, vertical, and matter, horizontal, unite at the point of control. The cross of St. Andrew, the awakening of vision. This is the cross in an X shape. It is formed by the crossing of the optic nerves, the optic chiasm, located just above the medulla oblongata, right at the center of the cranium. This cross of St. Andrew is the pathway of spiritual vision. It is the anatomical structure directly linked to the pineal gland and the awakening of the single eye. The Christ, the transmutated oil, is fastened to this dual neural structure. To be crucified is not to be killed, but rather to be fixed to the cross, to anchor the higher consciousness to the neural structure. It is the amplification by a thousandfold, the multiplication of the seed's power at the focal point. I must understand that the crucifixion is the union of my regenerated energy with the structure of my mind. All suffering in the Christ story is allegorical and points to an internal process, the crown of thorns. When the Christ oil is amplified at the cross of Golgotha, it spreads upward, reaching the scalp. The sharp pain, pressure, and heat felt by initiates during the awakening is the crown of thorns of the crucifixion. It is the fire of the Spirit acting at the apex of my head. The 3 hours of darkness, the hours when the sun is extinguished, represent the repose and silence, Shabbat, necessary for transmutation. My body requires darkness and repose for the alchemical process to be completed and the seed to be fully absorbed. The resurrection on the third day. The third day represents the time of repose and the complete ascent of the purified fluid. This fluid reaches the pineal gland and the pituitary body, Mary and Joseph, now purified and ready to produce the next cycle of seed with an even higher vibration. I must recognize the resurrection is the liberation of my spirit from dense matter. The body does not die, it is transmuted. The crucifixion is done. The inner Christ is purified and resurrected. But the final journey is the ascension. In the last and most important video of this series, I will reveal the consummation of the work. What is the sepulchre that is broken, and from where does the Christ emerge? What is the true single eye that opens, and what does the phrase from Matthew 6:22 mean? If therefore your eye is single, your whole body shall be full of light. If you are ready to connect the final dots and achieve illumination, don't miss the final and deepest secret of the path that Jesus walked and walks in you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to receive more content like this. May the sevenfold peace be with you.
I will reveal the forbidden wisdom.